The progression of Lyme pain. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely painful, it all began for me with raging plantar fasciitis on the bottoms of my feet that were a 7 out of 10 daily. And this is something that 3 podiatrists had never encountered before. Well, the pains worked their way up my legs, muscles beginning to harden, and it developed into crippling lower body instability. My joints, they could barely hold my own weight. And every step became very painful. My ankles, my shins, my calves, my knees, and eventually progressing to my hips, my back, my neck. I started to get gnarled like this, and my vertebrae went out of place every day. So these pains, they felt, it was just a constant 6, 7, 8 every single day lingering, and it just became exhausting. But the pain, it actually progressively even increased. And eventually, the pain was all over, systemic, becoming even neurological with my hands shaking, all kinds of vision problems, head problems, seizures, all over, neurological chaos. I mean, even hugs hurt. Nothing felt good. The physical pain took a severe emotional toll. And it's not normal to put up with this daily torture for years. I suffered from chronic neurological and muscular pain in which the origin was unexplainable. Multiple teams of doctors defaulted to the generic diagnosis named fibromyalgia. And this fibromyalgia, exhaustive, all over pain, it steals all of your daily energy. Every movement had to be considered as energy conservation, and spooning became a way of life. I mean, even a hug from my mom hurt. And you know how bad that is. So the most severe pains, they came though with the progression of the disease. 9s and 10s on that 1 to 10 pain scale every day. Personally, I'm no stranger to pain. I've been hospitalized for many sports-related injuries. Lots of broken bones. I think 16, 17 stitches, surgeries, lost fights, hospitalizations, child's play in comparison to Lyme cavitations. So I felt similar pain one time. That's one time when I wrecked a dirt bike, and these are the acute specific pain when I cut probably a 6-inch gap in my leg, and my jeans were hitting the nerves. Like you stick your finger in, and there was fat pieces that came out and hitting nerves. I mean, it was extreme acute pain, and that's the kind of pain that Lyme causes. And if you allow it to progress all over the body. I mean, I physically felt like even small movements would cause my muscles to tear from my bones. Cavitation so deep that when it touched it, when you put your finger on them, it felt as though I had been shot, and I was forced to live with an abundance of caution. And as a very physical person, my mental freedom comes from exercise, and I was imprisoned in my own body for 10 years. So to survive with severe symptoms, I learned to compensate and basically just stop moving. When I attempted to push, severe symptoms, they would become worse. It would become worse and worse. Injuries occurred every time I tried to push. I thought I could push and work my way out of these physical symptoms, but pushing, it wasn't an option as injury after injury was occurring, and I'd have to work even harder and spend more energy that I didn't have. It was a lost cause. And the weight of the constantly compounding symptoms, it just took a severe physical, emotional, mental toll. I reached the tipping points with desperation and feelings of absolute rage and hopelessness. Constant. For 6 years, I felt as though I was drowning. I couldn't get a breath, like suffocating, being pulled out to sea in a riptide. I could barely keep my head above the water. And when it came to physical regimens, I knew I needed to be proactive. I was practicing all kinds of supplement regimens to reestablish the blood flow to these areas and try to reconnect. But sick and tired, I just didn't have the energy to perform the physical regimens. And like I said, I was getting hurt over and over when I did try the way that I knew. So I wanted to add the physical therapy aspect to my current supplement and antibiotic regimens, but I was conflicted. I was already spooning just to survive. And just working harder, it was more than I can handle. I didn't have the energy to spend. I just didn't have it. And I needed to enlist the outside help because I needed help until I could personally be proactive enough that I could do this myself. I needed massage terribly. But every time I went to get massage, I would literally be jumping off the massage table at just the slightest pressure. And the pain, it wasn't all in my head. It was the most intense pain I have ever felt, but I felt like it was necessary. So I sought out trusted relationships, working to find the right therapists who were good fits for me. I hired and I fired, but through trial and error, assembled a team that was right for my situation. And I worked with my team, and eventually I got to a point where, I couldn't wait to go to my physical therapy appointments because I was earning more and more physical freedom with every passing visit. I began to understand that the mind-body connection, it was actually scrambled. It intensified in some cases, yet absent in others. And what I mean by that is in some places my therapist touched me, I would literally jump off the table. They would be like, "What's wrong?" I couldn't handle it. But some other places they would touch, it would work. It was bizarre. I couldn't feel them at all. They were like dead zones. I had multiple different pockets of dead zones. So to heal, I committed to reconnecting the brain and the body. Committing to physical and supplement regimens daily, my symptoms began to resolve. It was only through daily practice that I could see that progression. The sooner you begin using your hands and committing to daily physical activity, the sooner your symptoms will begin to resolve. For me, over and over, I would find restrictions, open them up, and then blast them with supplements, antibacterials, antivirals, antifungals, whatever it takes. Sometimes the restrictions I was releasing created dramatic emotional response, these emotional releases, and sometimes physical release, it even made popping sounds, like you were cracking bubble wrap as the fascia becomes unstuck. It was really cool, but really weird. So you have to trust that these releases will occur and put in the work. Physical freedom will be your reward. Release restriction after restriction and bring cells back to life, section of the body by section of the body. Resolve symptoms in bite-sized chunks. Physical regimens are key to becoming pain-free, but brute force, no matter how hard you try, it will not work. Timing of regimens and the acknowledgement that healing occurs in depth and layers within our bodies is essential. Be proactive and artfully influence cellular change. Releases will occur incrementally. If you're at a 10 on a pain scale of 1 to 10, set a goal to get to an 8. If you're at an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, well, set a goal to get to a 6. And if you're at a 6, set goals to get to a 4. To begin moving forward, acknowledge that physical therapy mentoring is essential, no matter what your previous experience. Start by searching for specific physical therapy specialties. Experiment by Googling terms like myofascial release and trigenics in an attempt to find experts sooner than later. Don't waste time with average therapists. Search out the best, as there is a dramatic difference between the top 10% and the bottom 90%. I wasted hundreds of hours that I didn't have. Learn from my mistakes. The best can help you in ways that the other 90% they just cannot. How do you get out of this neurological overload hell? Well, to get from a 10 on the pain scale of 1 to 10 to an 8, massage. Massage is where you begin. Massage is a tremendous diagnostic tool. You have to also track how you feel before and after. Remember to bind those toxins that are being pushed out of the muscles. There are many different styles of massage, and you have to find a therapist that is right and that you are comfortable with. You have to. It is very intimate and it's just so personal. So asking friends for a referral, that's a good place to start. Next, seek out a chiropractor. And everyone says, I've been to a chiropractor, I've been to so many times, I've been to see them for years. No, not the crack kind. This is a profession that has advanced significantly over the last few years. And nowadays, best chiropractors, they release muscles that are holding the vertebrae out of place versus forcing vertebrae into place. Big difference. Some incredible healers have been drawn to this profession. I've worked with about 50, and I can tell you that all chiropractors are not created equal. I learned to search for chiropractors who practice trigenics as an expertise. And if you cannot find that, if you can't find a trigenics expert, then search out someone who practices ART, which is active release technique. These are two styles that focus on the release of the muscles in order to realign the spine. The alignment of the spine is essential to healing and reducing that neurological overload. Third foundational partner who you need to graduate to, whom you should align yourself and partner as a physical therapist to, focuses on myofascial release. And this technique, you specifically want to find someone, Google someone that practices the Barnes method. So physical therapist who practices myofascial release and the Barnes method is what you should be searching. If you can plan correctly and present a complementary plan to your PCP, you can get a lot of this physical therapy covered by insurance. You've got to put in the work. You have to think, I need all of these three things. I need to assemble my team. Work with your PCP. You can get a lot of that stuff covered through a long-term plan. And after reducing the extreme pains with your partner therapist, earn the rest of your physical freedom by personally taking action. Use your hands to perform physical regimens, reconnecting the mind and the body and restoring blood flow to physically restricted cells. Practicing gentle physical body work regimens is essential to maintaining your physical freedom. Physical freedom is earned through practice, and the first tool you really need to learn how to use is your hands. Reestablishing grip strength in your hands, using different grips and angles to resolve restrictions, learning different grips under, over, side, whole hand techniques, fingers. It's essential in releasing these stress points that are causing the restrictions, the stress points that are causing these restrictions. Work on your left arm with your right hand and, different techniques, and progress. Work on your left or your right arm with your left hand and progress around your body. Another example of personal regimens that I used and started with was, the first one is easy because everywhere has them, a foam roller. And they are for big muscles, big groups, your hips, your haunches, your legs, your quads. Start to physically become more aware. Next, you want to go to a rope and stretching. All stretching is not created equal. I luckily came across a guy named Aaron Mattis who practiced active isolated stretching. Look this up on YouTube. He uses rope stretching to open up the body. Next, an example would be a rolling pin. Again, these are things that you could do at home. You're rolling these big muscles. You can even lay on the floor and use the rolling pin to reestablish blood flow. A lot of people will see also using balls, and even people who are well trained in physical therapy, they'll be using a lacrosse ball. And that is the opposite of what you should be doing. It is too hard. I wanted to use a lacrosse ball over and over. You need to find tennis balls. You need to find these small, like this one's a TP therapy ball that will allow your muscles to melt into, that allow your muscles to melt versus forcing them. This is 2 balls inside of a sock. This was actually my favorite tool for helping with the neck. Put 2 tennis balls in a sock. It seems like it's too simple. But this would work up and down your spine and be able to get into the shoulders and into the traps, even under here, just different places along the rib cage, and then gentle scraping out of restrictions, as restrictions are definitely gunked up areas that you need to reestablish chi and blood flow into. So this is actually for painting. I just made this thing, right, to scrape the different areas in my body. And another example would be cupping, and why I bring this to light is that these focus on mashing the fascia and assuming that breaking up is always the right thing, but a lot of times reestablishing blood flow is about picking the fascia up off the muscles and reestablishing that blood flow. So all of these are regimens that are gentle enough that anyone can perform them on themselves, working to become one day better no matter what. You can perform all of these before bed. Create a battle plan like you would create a business plan. Keep it simple. Risk versus potential reward. Regimens can resolve symptoms or they can cause side effects. All symptoms require a regimen catalyst to release. So you target your top 2 symptoms over and over. You release your top 2, your worst 2, then you go to the next 2, and next 2, and next 2. A specific regimen provides a specific energy to influence a specific system, and the expectation should be that influencing the necessary system resolves your targeted symptom. A knowledge of physiology allows us to go into battle on the offensive, attacking physically and chemically with precision. The art of healing requires structured coordination as you chip away cell to cell, reversing inflammation, increasing blood flow to restrictions. A slow and steady process. Your cells, they work like special forces units, clearing rooms, going door to door, kicking in doors, searching and executing with lethal force. It is important to visualize this. Clear the room exercises over and over as your cells go in, surround the bacteria, surround the virus, surround the molds, devour them. They push back, killing parasite invaders cell block by cell block, restoring a healthy cellular environment. Your body becomes good at it. And when you're conscious about clearing restrictions, body part by body part, it becomes grid work. It's like a puzzle. Over and over, you're just basically telling your body to hunt, chase, and destroy. In conclusion, physical freedom from Lyme disease is earned. Incorporate physical regimens with the goal to reestablish blood flow to low blood flow areas. Reestablishing the connection between the body and the mind reduces stress and it conserves precious healing energy. Symptoms resolve faster and faster as healing velocity increases. A plan to incorporate physical regimens breaks down your big battle into many small battles. 1% better every day. 1% better every day. Small battles allow us to visualize becoming one day better, and healing velocity increases. Repair your repairable cells. Kill the unrepairable cells, and birth new high energy, high vibration cells. As you take your plan from like this and become more and more specifics, because you're committing to the idea of battles versus a battle. And to win many battles over and over, you must trust that you have more endurance than your opponent. We are huge. Trust yourself. Work your body like a grid, okay? Conduct many regimens, clearing the grid section by section by section, and tracking your battles. It is so important. Track your battles. Record your many battles on the Lymefriends app. Think about grid work and visualize your momentum. Better and better and better and better. Organization is directly correlated to recovery speed. Track your results. The old you is dead. The old you is dead. Commit today to building an entirely new you. Say it. Speak it into existence. Tomorrow, I will be one day better than I am today. Your days will become easier and easier. Commit to change, and healing will occur. The old you is dead. Who will you become? It's time to change the conversation. It's Lyme time.